Okay, so I think Sue, as an athlete, will have some natural ability.
What's going on, YouTube? Here's another video of me demonstrating changing my default starting method. Again, ever since I started posting videos, I've changed my starting method quite a few times, and this time is due to popular bashing and complaint about how I'm not clamping my anchor string like either fully up against the starting post, whichever it be. For this racket, you've seen this racket before. The guy is in for another restring. So for this racket, since it has 8 grommet holes in the throat, I will be starting from the head down. I would feed the U from the head towards the throat, and therefore I normally will use this right clamp and clamp it off against this 12 o'clock post. Now you might have seen it previously where I purposely leave a little gap between the post and the clamp, like so that when I go and clamp off the second main on this opposite side, I will have enough room for the front of this base clamp, I don't know if you can see, to fit right in front of the anchor clamp over there. So that's the reason I do that. And another complaint was when I finally go and pull the anchor string, okay, on the other end, I would also leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inch space away from the bottom grommets themselves. And the reason I do that, I've explained before, is to have this right main match the pitch of the left main once I'm done with stringing the mains and I go plug each strings. So that's the reason I do that. Otherwise, this very first anchor main is always gonna plug a higher pitch compared to the string on the opposite side, simply because of the fact that, you know, when you first clamp the left main, all right, the left main gets full tension over here, but part of the string on the opposite side that goes into the right main, part of it gets also pulled with tension. And when you finally pull the anchor string main, the first main, with full tension, again, you're basically adding additional tension onto that. So in order to compensate that, today I've decided to I've started doing this a couple of weeks back already. Throughout the history of me stringing, I've only seen one other Yonex stringer practice this method. When he goes to pull the opposite main, he would actually add like 3 or 6% or however many additional poundage on that main in order to actually will clamp them fully on both sides. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm also going to plug my mains once I'm done with them, and I'll also verify the dynamic tension afterwards. Yeah, so I remember replying to somebody on Talk Tennis forum. He was complaining the fact that he was checking the individual tensions of his main strings, and he found out that half of his string bed is looser or has a lower tension compared to the opposite. And I suggested that perhaps this is the reason when his starting method is like the most common method, where you just place the clamp over here and pull at regular tension, and then when you go down here to pull the tension on the anchor string again, he pulls that regular tension and clamps down here fully. So from what I've seen, like 90% of the stringers do it that way. And then like the other 1 or 2% I've seen that has the worst starting method is they would actually have their anchor string down here somewhere in the middle of the string bed. Now this is the stupidest thing, because first of all, you're compressing the string right here in the middle of the string bed, making the string weaker right here in the sweet spot, causing possible breakage sooner. maybe that's the whole point why those people do it that way, because they want the string bed to break sooner. I want their string bed to last as long as possible. Clamp it off like that. Some people add a starting clamp behind it. I haven't had to use that because I've upgraded my machine clamp. The diamond coating on it is still pretty new and it grabs pretty tight. So this is the change I made. See this first string on the opposite side that I'm about to pull tension? The customer asked for 54 pounds reference tension. And instead of pulling at 54 pounds, I'm actually going to pull at 56 pounds. So in effect, adding 2 additional pounds on it. In the past, you'll see me purposely like manual stretching this string with my finger. Well, with this additional couple of pounds added to it, I no longer have to do anything of that sort. Just pull it normally and clamp it normally. Now, when I go to the next string on the same side, I gotta remember to drop it down to the 54 reference like the customer asked for. Otherwise, the resultant tension will be too high. So that's a simple change. I go 3 on this side before I switch to the opposite side. I mean, I could switch right now. Let me switch right now. So as you can see, as I'm pulling this anchor string, normally the way I do it is leave a gap about right here, about an inch to an inch and a half space, okay, more or less, give or take. So with the additional 2 poundage added to the opposite string, I will no longer have to manually make the tension of this string lower by leaving a space. So I'm fully, you'll see, there's still like half an inch to 3/4 of an inch of space. That's normal. That's because my machine clamp is literally butting up against this post right here in the middle of the post. I cannot get any closer than that. So before somebody who doesn't even have this machine and start bashing again. Those of you that don't know about this machine, the bottom of this billiard post is like cast iron or something. It also curves inwards, okay, towards the middle of the string bed. So there's no way for my string clamp to go up that close to the edge of the racket frame, like some other stringers that don't have this post curving in. So hopefully, to the guys who's bashing me on Talk Tennis, I put a screenshot over here. He questioned, why do these people post videos? Here I am posting my YouTube video to help out the app, and he even thanked me for it. And here's a Hall of Fame member saying that I should take a stringing course first. And you also see my reply over there stating I'm not happy with how he's calling us these people. When you see something that he doesn't like, he makes a comment like that, arrogant comment like that, entitled comment like that, as if only certain entitled people like him can post videos, and people like me can't. That's pretty much what he's implying. However, when I go to his YouTube channel, he barely has any videos or any subscribers, so I don't know, maybe he's jealous of. This one. Now, when I first started making this change, it's easy for me to forget to set the reference tension back to the reference tension. After pulling the string a couple pounds higher, and then I risk realizing that later and then having to take all the strings out and redo them. But I think that's just a matter of habit. And once I get used to always doing it that way, I will make less and less errors like that. This racket has a grommet skip up here. At the 7th grommet, skip at 7 head. And it's skip at 8 throat or 8 base, however you call it. And since this is the last string, I put on the extra tie of knot tension, so it's pulling at like 62 pounds and then dropping to 59. I've also read on those top forums saying that nobody can achieve matching tension. Like they don't even want to try. They just follow however they're taught to string with. I mean, I understand that by stringing like how most people string, there's less, it's more consistent, less room to make, judgment calls on however many additional pounds that each stringer or each machine should get added, let alone each racket. I get that argument. But it's really a compromise, because if you do it that way, the one main string is always gonna be higher in tension than the opposite one, and therefore, no wonder you can never get matching tension. If you want to settle with that, I just personally think that's a compromise. So to each your own. I string my way, you string your way. That's what Erp, famous stringer on YouTube, Erp, says. He's self-taught as well, and he's not afraid to admit it. That's why I respect the guy. I watch his videos every time he comes out. I watch him. You hear that? Almost sounds the same. For those tone deaf people, they may not be able to tell that actually, dun, dun, actually this one is still a little higher. And of course somebody upstairs is using the water again. bum, bum. This one is still a little bit higher. So you know what? That means with the 2 additional pounds added to this tension, that's still a little bit low compared to my anchor string over here, right? That's when I clamp them fully up against this, clamp the anchor string fully up against this post, and then down here I clamped it fully up to the opposite post, and it's still plugging just a little bit higher than the string that I added a couple of pounds of tension to. So I could have added 3 pounds of tension, all right, if I really want to be nitpicky, but if you listen to the pitch, that's already pretty close already. All right, let's check the next pair. These two, to my eyes, is a complete match. Bang, 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 bang. All right, the center pair is close, but bang, bang. This anchor string is still slightly higher. I mean, the fact that they're so close, I'm not gonna like press or stretch them in this instance, because that may be affected by the shape of this racket, or the size of this racket. I think this is a 95 or 98. Actually, no, it's a 93 square inch head. So, all right. So, the second pair of mains match. Let's go to the third pair of mains. That's pretty close. This one is a little higher. Bang, bang, bang. I could stretch this one a little bit. The fourth pair is matches perfectly. All right, so the first 4 pairs are the only ones I really worry about, because that's the string bed. By the time you get to the edges, the frame is less important, because realistically, if you start striking the tennis ball over here on the side, the twist weight of the racket has more effect. You know, a lot of times the racket will wobble in your hand to begin with, so but regardless, normally once I have the center mains matching, the sides would match just because of it, because of the center mains. Because once you start off with the first mains being off, that difference in tension has a tendency to leak into the next string and the next string as well. So hopefully I've demonstrated my point. So I'm just going to jump ahead in this video and measure the dynamic tension. Okay, just fresh off the string bed. Dynamic tension on the ERT is 41. Gotta look up. 41 DT. I had to double check because this is a 93 square inch racket, so it falls on the 55 pound result, which is the bottom number. First I was looking at the middle number, 59. That scared me a bit. So 55, I'm 1 pound. The converted tension is 1 pound over the reference tension that he asked for, which he normally gets. It's 54, so I'm happy with that. It's within 1 dp difference. But once again, you see the fault of this conversion wheel is that even if you go 1 dt lower, 40, your result goes from 55 and it jumps to 53. You see that? Skipping over 54. Mentioned this complaint in my previous video already. It's not a one-to-one comparison. Even if you look at the middle number, it goes from 57 to 59. The top number goes from 62 to 64. It doesn't make any sense. So that is why some stringers said that they don't even keep track of what the converted tension in pound is or anymore. They just use the DT value because there's some inconsistencies on the converted value. So anyways, that's what I'll put on his label, and I'll tell him that it is ready. Any questions or concerns, feel free to put them below. Thank you very much for watching, and happy stringing. Take care.